So, right here in the John Fredericks Show, this is our Disruptor segment, and it's fabulous to have you with you today. Joining us now, Teddy Daniels. Teddy Daniels, he announced his bid for Pennsylvania 8. That's the Scranton area, and he's the first Republican to enter the race. Teddy Daniels, a former cop. He's also a wounded combat Army veteran. He announced his bid that this is in the Scranton area, which is kind of like northeast Pennsylvania. And this is a district that the RNC is actually targeting as one they can turn blue to red. So I think it went blue in the midterms by 8 or 9. I do a lot of this by memory, if that's right. It was under 10. It was not that far away. And 2018 nominee, I think his name was John Corin or John Chorin or something. Yeah, I think he got beat by like 8 or 9. This is a newly configured district, and the incumbent there, Democrat incumbent Cartwright, is one of 3 Democrats being targeted by the National Republican Congressional Committee in 2020 in Pennsylvania. So we got Teddy Daniels with us. A lot of times we get a disruptive person on. They're in a district that's D plus 50. You know, they can't win. It's fun to talk about it. But this is a district where Teddy Daniels can actually get elected to Congress. He can actually win this district with Trump on the ballot and the resources that are going to go into Pennsylvania. And he's joining us now, Teddy Daniels. Teddy, welcome to the John Fredericks Disruptor segment. Great to have you.
John, good morning, brother. Let me tell you, it's great to be on the show, and it is so good to listen to somebody with the same energy, fire, and vigor as I have first thing in the morning. So I'm honored to be here, and I greatly appreciate it.
Teddy, I love your attitude. You know, you're a former cop. Look, you don't fit the mold of the typical Republican that is going to go run, get the backing of the establishment in your district and this one and that committee chair and this committee chair. But look, you're a veteran, wounded, cop, and now you want to run for Congress, and it sounds like you've got the personal energy in order to make this happen. But here's the thing. There's winning, and then there's getting to Congress and having the president's back and supporting his America First agenda. And look, Teddy, we have seen so many congressmen get beat in 2018 because they ran away from the president's policies. Am I right?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. 100% correct.
So, Teddy, tell me, what inspired you to get in this race? I mean, you're an outsider. You're a disruptor. The establishment is going to hate your candidacy. I can tell you that. All I had to do was look at your release, and I'm like, okay, the establishment in Pennsylvania is going to hate this guy. He's going to drive him nuts. So, or you're going to drive them nuts. How'd you get in the race?
John, I'll tell you what. I made the decision to run in early August. And I'll be honest with you. A lot of it had to do with the Democratic Party. It had to do with Ilhan Omar. Had to do with Rashida Tlaib. Had to do with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know, the Democratic Party, I feel, has left. They've gone far left. And they have left the everyday Americans who used to vote Democrat. They've left them in the dust. There's really no room anymore for moderates in the Democrat Party. President Trump has come into office and done things that people told him he couldn't do. And I back this president 100%. And, you know, if the Republican establishment, if they want to give me a hard time, hey, so be it. You know, John, I've worn a uniform for close to 20 years, 15 as a police officer, a little more than 4 active duty military. I've seen what these policies do to people on a ground zero level. And, you know, politicians, a lot of them, they sit in their ivory towers and they talk about rhetoric. Rhetoric's great, but there comes a time where you have to see firsthand how issues and policies affect people and then be in a position to act upon it.
Okay, look, first of all, Terry Daniels, number one, you're going to get hammered by the Republican establishment in Pennsylvania and in that district because they can't control you. You're an outsider. You got all that stuff going on. Here's my advice to you: wear it like a badge of honor. That's what I would do if I were you.
Absolutely.
Just embrace it. Now, secondly, I want to just so all of our listeners know, this is a district that a good friend of mine, one of my really good friends in politics, Lou Barletta, represented this district. He ran for U.S. Senate in was it 2018? He had some family issues, and that was the wave. It was unfortunate what went down. A lot of rumors going on that Lou Barletta is going to run for the seat or that he's trying to be recruited. Now, I can tell you straight out, I had dinner with my friend Lou 3 weeks ago in El Paso, Texas, after we visited the wall, the WeBuildAWall.us people, Brian Colfage. We were there for 5 days or 4 days. I can tell you that I had dinner with him. And he unequivocally is not going to run for Congress, right? So you can take that off your plate. Yeah, he is not going to run. He told me that he has no interest in running again right now, and that he was not going to run for Congress. So you can kind of forget that. Now, Teddy, let's get to some of your key positions here. Let's get to China, and let's get to the president's tariffs. A lot of people upset over it, hurting farmers. But here's the president's position. I want to get your take on it. China's been ripping us off for 50 years unabated. They just wait every administration out. They get their way. Everybody caves. Wall Street's behind it because they can get cheaper consumer goods, cheap labor, right? The Democrats are behind it because they don't have to deal with the Chinese, so they can just let it go. So it's kind of this unholy alliance. The president standing up to the Chinese now, and basically what he's trying to do, Teddy, is get the supply chain back to the U.S. Are you going to be able to defend the president's trade policies in this campaign?
Absolutely. And I think right now, because he is taking a fight, because he is taking a stand, obviously the tariffs, they are negatively affecting the American consumer, but I'm hoping and I'm thinking this is going to be a temporary thing. I would eventually like to see it to where there's no tariffs whatsoever, and the American consumer is not negatively affected by this.
How do you do that?
Well, I think the president, obviously, he's doing the right thing by taking the stand with China, and he needs to continue to take that stand. John, we're the largest, strongest country in the world. Okay,
right.
We cannot let countries like China dictate to us or bully us, especially on issues like trade.
Right.
He needs to take a stand by it, and we need people in office that are going to support that. Obviously, I don't feel that his long-term goal is for tariffs back and forth. He's a smart man. I trust what he's doing. He has much more experience in business than I do, or pretty much anybody that I know. You have to trust what he's doing is the right thing. And, here's a president that is an America First president. And he's not going to continue something that is going to negatively affect the American people.
Well, look, you got to stand up to China. And the tariffs that he's put in place, basically, they're like the good news is they're raising money. There's zero inflation, so the Chinese continue to simply subsidize the cost of production. So that's why you're not getting prices being raised anywhere. And what the president wants to do is bring the supply chain back to the U.S. This is the one thing that the mainstream legacy lying fake news media can't grasp. It's about getting our jobs back. It's about getting manufacturing back. It's about getting production back. And eventually the Chinese cannot continue to subsidize this. Right now they have to do it because they have to employ another 2 million young people every 12 months that come into the workforce system. So they have to employ these people, or they're going to see in Beijing what they're seeing in Hong Kong. So the president's holding all the cards. Okay, you served in the military. let's get to um, Afghanistan.
Oh
Okay,
boy.
the Teddy
Okay.
Daniels, the president having a series of meetings now with a lot of different people. He pledged in the campaign that he would try to get out of these entanglements. We've been in Afghanistan for 2 decades. The president saying at a presser yesterday, 20 years is long enough. Where basically they're cops. I go to Walter Reed. I see people without legs, stepped on a bomb there. I'm done with it. And I want to get out. We have to negotiate with the Taliban. They asked him, do you trust him? He says, I don't trust anybody. No, but they're there. It's part. They have to be part of the government. You've got the emir of the state of Qatar trying to broker the negotiations. You served. Can we get out? And how do we do it in a way where we don't have a repeat of 9/11?
Okay.
Teddy.
So here's my thoughts on Afghanistan, John. Yes, we need to get out. I was wounded there. I'm a Purple Heart recipient. A lot of guys wounded and killed fighting this war, and it has gone on for too long. And the last thing I want to do is put more of America's men and women in harm's way. Okay? So, yeah, we need to leave Afghanistan, number one. A good solution that I'm thinking might work for that. So, the Army has posts in South Korea. Okay?
Right.
Make it a rotational post. I mean, Bagram Air Base is big enough that's not going anywhere. Okay? Make that a regular assignment rotation so we have a force there. Okay? We have drones. We have technology. We have smart bombs. Use those to combat the terrorist activities in that country. I was an infantryman. I was the man on the ground with a rifle. We don't need to be doing that anymore. I served under the Obama administration where the rules of engagement were very tight. President Trump did loosen up the rules of engagement. When I deployed, only half of our company deployed because Obama wanted to show that we were downsizing our troop strength over there. So make it a rotational duty station. Keep the assets, such as the drones and the technology, on station. But as far as the troops on the ground, get them home. It's been too much, too long. If the United States is not going to enter conflicts with a strategy to win and go home, then we do not need to be entering conflicts like that.
Teddy, can you walk our audience through what happened to you in Afghanistan?
Oh boy. So I was an infantryman. I was in something. My primary MOS was 11 Bravo infantry. I was a rifleman. Because of my experience in law enforcement, the company and the Army cross-trained me in COIST, which is Company Intelligence Support Team. So I would go out on every patrol and gather the intel. And it was better to have an infantryman go out on the patrols than a military intelligence guy who wasn't necessarily trained as an infantryman. We were doing Overwatch on a village, and it was quiet. So the platoon leader decided to go down the open face of a mountain, and we got ambushed pretty good. The platoon leader was out in the open, and I came out and drew fire. There were only 8 of us on that patrol. Made it behind a rock, took a lot of bullet fragments, took a lot of shrapnel, broke my foot in numerous places. But the main thing is, John, we made it out of there, and I made it home. And, trust me when I tell you, I've seen the guys who have lost limbs. I've seen the guys who were so permanently scarred. I consider myself lucky. I consider myself lucky that I came home, and my injuries were not as bad as a lot of other guys that were over there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, Teddy, number one, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done, and I think you're a game changer candidate there. No question about it. It sounds to me like you really embrace President Trump's America First agenda. You're an outsider. You've paid a heavy sacrifice for what you believe in. I agree with your position in Afghanistan, just as a not having been there, but as a political observer. Basically, go in, win, get out. And I like your rotational idea. It isn't a bad idea. We have to do something to get out of there. The Taliban has got to be part of the government. The president understands that's just political reality. They control 1/3 of the country. They have to be part of whatever government ends up being in Afghanistan. So I'm with you on that. Teddy, other candidates are going to get in this race. I'd love you to invite me to Scranton one day. I'll come and do my show there. We'll do it at one of your favorite diners there where people come in the morning, and we'll do our show there, get all your friends on, and we'll talk to people that come in, just work through Leslie Malone, and we'll pick a date. I'll get down there. I think you're going to be a fabulous candidate, and thank you for being with us today. Teddy, people want more information. Where do they go?
They can go to teddydanielspa.com. That's my website, and it'll tell you a lot about me and positions that I stand. And John, I wanted to let you know too, brother. I'm actually going to be in Washington D.C. in a couple weeks, and I'll coordinate through Leslie. If you're free, maybe we can hook up and grab a bite to eat for lunch, brother.
Yeah, we'll have you on our show live in our studio there in D.C. Just let me know when we're there. So you come to D.C., I'll come to Scranton, but you got to pick me out a diner where people go in the morning, especially people
brother, they're all over up there. And let me tell you,
you got to pick the diner. You got to pick me the
Northeast
diner.
Pennsylvania is a unique place. I love it. I absolutely love it there. I love the people. They're hard, blue-collar working people. They're people who don't mince their words, and they'll tell you what's on their mind. And, I know John Trend ran in the midterms. John's a nice guy, but he was a Goldman Sachs guy. And, you can't be a Goldman Sachs guy and really connect and relate to the constituency.
No, you're not going to win.
There.
Look, the district needs somebody like Teddy Daniels. I don't know who else is getting in. I know that Lou Barletta is not getting in. If I were you, I'd call Lou, ask him for his backing. But, we'll see how things go. But come to D.C. I'll come to Scranton. Maybe we'll make this thing work, all right?
John, you're the man, brother. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Teddy Daniels running for Congress. He's a disruptor. That is Pennsylvania's 8th district, formerly represented by Lou Barletta, my good friend, and now by Democrat Cartwright, and hopefully he can win that back. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.